Some of the Woche in the Parshat, two opposites. Die Woche und letzte Woche. Der Woche Parshat Shelach, es steht wegen der Meraglim. Die Meraglim sind herausgegangen. Wir nehmen der Beste von allen Schwuten. Für jede Scheibe wir nehmen der größte, heiligste Mensch. Anushim, the Torah rief Anushim. They were like high levels. Moshe Rabbeinu decided who's going because he knew it's a difficult thing. He knew it's something that's not that. It's a challenge, yeah.
But they wanted to be the Meraglim.
If they wanted to be the Meraglim, they definitely had different intentions.
Yeah, but once they actually did it.
Once they did it, they became Nishba from the ones was Hom sei geschickt. Schleich ist das. Sie allein, wieso können sie das denken, wenn so ehrlich, wieso haben sie getan schlecht?
Right, that's what I'm trying to...
Yeah, wieso, how did they become sour? How did they become sour? How did they switch over to be so bad and talk on the Eretz Yisrael? But how did they get this ego?
They became aware that they were so bad. When they came to Israel, and they see themselves, because when you come to Israel, you see it was all big, it was all different. It's like a big ego there. It became nothing suddenly.
Right.
The second half of a big time. So.
Yeah, but how did they become an ego? How did they get an ego? They were the holiest people. The ganze Daram Midbar was all holy people, and they were the holiest of the holiest. How did they get an ego? How did they even get the ego in the first place? So the Shlevi is masbir. Ma'anik for the Shlevi. Shlevi is masbir that each and every person, it depends on the shliach. The shliach is not as much the one with titus, not the one with shiktach. Shliach udam kamoiser, right? If you send someone, he becomes your energy. It becomes your energy. That's why in Chabad, it's such a big deal to be a shliach. You're in the place of the Rebbe. You're in the place of the Rebbe. You're a shliach of the Rebbe. You're in the place of the Rebbe. So, and it's actually considered that way from the Babich Rebbe himself said that. So the same thing was over here. The Meraglim, wer gewollt is on guy? Was?
You're continuing his work when he's not here, so it's, you basically...
You're bringing him down. He's here. He's all over the world.
That makes sense with that. You're
that he's alive.
Taking the mission of people that is not good.
Yeah.
So, in a way, you're getting involved with it. So
exactly, and maybe that can make sense why the Rebbe left. Maybe, b'derech efshe.
No,
who are we to know?
If you take a mission from bad people, it's definitely going to affect you.
100%. So they have the effect of the Rebbe. He said that, and before he passed away, hat der Gunnisch gelost auf seinen Tisch. Hat er gelost auf seinen Tisch, das Spuren, das steht alle Namen von den Schlichen bis damals. In was mit Tita, man schreibt daran nach. They're writing in more and more and more. Why? Because this, he considered this his kids. He didn't leave any kids. He considered the Shlichim seine Kinder. Besides, was er so wie ein, Schlich Shalom Rav. Er gesagt many times, er gesagt, die geistigen Sachen, there's many times people came into him and you see in the letters, like all these Shlichim, they're sending him, it's so hard, we want to do it, but it's so hard, it doesn't make any sense. I said, don't worry, you're not doing anything. You're just doing one step at a time. Things happen by itself. I don't think he used the word, I'm doing it, but he's saying like there's higher things that's happening. You're just a vessel. The point is also letting go. If they're in a place of letting go, a shliach cannot be if you recognize you're a shliach. You cannot be shliachim of the Eibishter. How can we do crazy things? How can we go beyond our minds and our thoughts and emotions? By knowing that you're only a shliach of the Eibishter, you're only a vessel, you're only a pipe to bring down the ashpuas or whatever needs to be done in the world, in the place where you are. So again, we're coming back to the Meraglim. How did they lose? How did it become an ego? Why didn't they continue the shlichus? Because the shlich, der was sozusagen geschickt, sind gewähnt the amuretz. Nicht amuretz, wie heißt es? Nicht die Jiden, der Am. Wie heißen der Am? Letzte Woche in der Parsha. Wer denn gewinnt, was haben sich auch gerettet? Düsseldorf sind gegangen mit den Chevra. Basically the lower parts of Eretz Yisrael. Was? Yeah, the one that Moshe Rabbeinu picked out from the stones, and they ended up rebelling each and every time. Griechisch Levi starb auch in der Platz. Als sei seine gewähnt der One,
Mit der Eigen.
ja, da haben wir den Eigel, die Jiden, der Benai Yisrael haben kein Mensch getan der Eigel. Der Eigel ist kein Mensch getan, wurde der Jiden.
Back.
Was?
So what it was, they saw Moshe Rabbeinu dead, and he came with a whole idea that we should need a leader. We can't have a leader that's gonna die. So he ran back to Mitzrayim, got back the plate they used to bring them to bring him back. They threw it into the old Israel.
Who said to bring it back?
What?
Who said to
But
bring
that
it
was not the Jews.
back? Right.
It was not.
He was the one who said to go bring the thing. He knew
No,
what
he
knew well what
he
was
said to
doing.
go bring
He
the
knew well
gold.
what he was doing. He said
So-
go bring the
He said go bring the gold,
thing from Yeshivah
and he
Shalom.
told the wives will never let.
No. That's what they said. That's what they said. That's not true. Yeah,
Shalom,
I
shalom.
don't know.
Listen, it's Moshe Rabbeinu did something, and Hashem told him, why are you doing this? Bei rausnehmen die Kinder? Bakas Choshech, right? It's Choshech. Ging rausnehmen die Kinder von der Steiner, wo sie dann begrüben geworden, wegen die Ihnen haben nicht gegeben, haben nicht gemacht, nicht Ziegel.
How are they alive?
I don't know, it's a good question. I had
Well,
this
they
question in the
probably weren't
past.
alive. He took it, probably brought him back.
Probably brought him back. I don't know. Maybe it happened every day, and that was only from that day. I don't know. It's a good question. How they were alive, I don't know. But basically, he saved them. He saved these children. They were children. He saved them, and they ended up rebelling each and every time. They did the Eigel. They didn't have this letting go. They didn't have this mindset of a shliach. They always need to make sense of everything. They always needed to feel okay, you know. This is a negative mindset. The negative mindset is not somebody that always thinks as much negative. Exactly. They were always in the I need to feel. I need to make sense. This comes from the ego. Unhealthy ego. What? Finish? The ego, exactly. So if there's always an ego, there's always a part that wants to make sense of it. So that's what it is.
Always comes also in Torah and learning and Hashem comes in everything.
Right. So I want to point something out. Was Rasha sagt letzte Woche. Letzte Woche sagt Rasha, da haben sich auch gerät, der Mann ist so schlecht und so man nicht kann taste, und so wollen wir tasten. We want to taste avetichim, we want to taste watermelon, we want to taste kishim, which is
Very good word.
they want to taste these good fruits.
They're complaining about not having meat. Wasn't the real thing what they needed. It wasn't the real complaining. They were complaining.
They tasted everything in the man. They tasted everything in the
It wasn't
man.
the food.
These three
It
things
wasn't
they
the
couldn't
food that
taste.
had a problem. They had a problem because they couldn't have relations with the family anymore, and they gave it out as it was for.
They didn't
for
feel
food.
gashmias as much.
They came complaining for the wrong
So
thing.
this is really Hasidish touch. This is a Hasidish touch.
No,
But
came,
Rasha
they came
says-
complaining
Rasha
for this,
says-
but it was really for something else.
Okay, this is a little bit later. In the beginning was a shtayt. It's gerecht. No, it's gerecht. 100%. Basically, the simple translation of what they were really bothered. They needed gashmias. They wanted to connect with the Eibush Derech gashmias. And actually today I want to talk about this because in der Woche die Parsha ist der Pink verkehrt. Der Gein auf Yisroel ist sehen, als man die der Eibush mit großer Frucht, mit die der Eibush mit gashmias, mit Ackern und Feldern und die alle Sachen. And all of a sudden, this week, they're like, oh no, never mind. It's too hard. It's too gashmias. We don't know how we can dien the Eibush in the gashmias. We need to see the Eibush in Tzrachnis, in Skemenish. So what's going on here, right? It's exactly opposite if you think about it. So what's actually happening? It's another conversation, but I want to go back to what last week. Bei Yitzhak Awam, sie haben geschrien, Rasha sucht mis Oinanim. Was sein? Sei sichen Problems. Mis Oinanim Tatsch, ein mis Oinanim ein Lushna Lidl. Sei sichen machen Bildbilbel, sei sichen zu machen Problems, each and every. It's a negative mindset. First of all, let's take a step back. Was ist der Dara Midbar? Rabbi Yitzchak Abachatzir sagt, als in the Taten von der Dara Midbar is basically in der dorhantige Taten sind wir der Dara Midbar. In der Dara Midbar. Fahr Mashiach hat kommen,
Correct.
Die Jiden werden ausgeleist von Golan, das ist der ultimate Mashiach. Kimmer zieht der Midbar. Das heißt, alle, die haben alle Schubs, die gehen der Midbar, sind brennt jetzt. Und sind wir jetzt in der Midbar. Wie sind wir der Midbar, wie die alle Problems, was dem, was meint ist internalize mit the difficulties and the nesyonos, die einfach schraubt rasche. Sehr eiser bei was es halt an einem Problem, was nicht fix ist. Sehr eiser bei die alle eiser nesyonos, was Avrum wir nicht auch gehabt. In a different perspective, in a different perspective, in some of the in our own perspective, and most probably each in our own difficult ways, in our own personal ways, in our own ways, in a personal way. It's an internal. It's an internal desire, it's an internal struggle. So, wo ist der Pshat? Jedes Mal, wie der da am Midbar ist gewesen, der Eibishter's Class. Der Eibishter personal class, uns ausgelernt, fahren uns gehen bei einer Festes Roh, aber der Eibishter will uns auslernen, wie soll es sein, how to go through his struggles. So each and every distance, der Eibishter hat special so gemacht. Da haben wir gesehen, der Eibishter. Wir haben gesehen, Bark Sinai, wir haben gesehen Gott, wir haben gesehen, der Eibishter's reden. Wir haben gesehen, at one time,
Do we have a grinder?
we each at one time, and together we get to see what the Hashem is. So the Eibishter tests us. In order for us, then we go into Israel, we get to see what the real Hashem is. So the same thing is going on over here. So the point is, let's go into deeper. What is Eretz Yisrael? The Meraglim zogen, Eretz Yisrael is so bad. Eretz Oichlus Yeshivah. Eretz Asher Oichlus Yeshivah. Eretz Oichlus Yeshivah. The exact words.
Too much food?
No. The land eats the people. The land eats the people. You lose yourself. Not just you don't have an ego.
So it kills your whole...
You have no self. You completely lose yourself. They couldn't understand that.
So they're so in themselves.
I would say the English world, the English translation for Eichlas Yeshveo.
It shows us us now. We're so deeply embedded in looking at ourselves.
Yeah.
All the time. But we don't look, it's a God running his show.
Exactly. Coming to a place,
Israel kills it.
equality, I would say. Equality in the terms between you and Hashem. Maybe there's a better word for it, but
Probably, but the idea.
it's basically the idea, not just trust in Hashem. Trust in Hashem is in general. Trust in Hashem, Eretz Yisrael teaches us that, like, you gotta do what you gotta do, but not just once in a month, once in a week, you'll get to see, like, oh wow, Hashem is in control. No, each and every second you do something, you're like, Hashem is like, okay, you keep doing what you gotta do, but each and every second you'll see that it's Hashem doing it all. It's not your doing at all. You have no... Your doing definitely has an impact, but not in the way that you want. Oh, you think you're gonna do this, you're gonna get A, B, and C? No, your doing is gonna get Y, X, Z. And A, B, and C you're gonna get from a whole different place. This is Eretz Echel Yisrael. Basically, you become part of the land. You realize that your little body, your significant body, has so much more that is connected to the earth. You become part of Eretz Yisrael. You see that you and Eretz Yisrael is one big game. You're all one. It all comes to one ultimate story that continues and grows. That's the level. So the Meraglim, before they went into Israel, they didn't understand this. We see something even more. Letzte Woche sehen wir uns, der Eibishter hat uns getrogen 3 days faster than it would usually take to go. Until the Meraglim, der Eibishter gemacht hat uns am Wacken 3 Tage schneller wie wir wacken eigentlich. Why? Because the Eibishter had so much love for us. He's like, let's go. I want you to get to Eretz Yisrael. I want you to get to Eretz Yisrael. The Yidden from the other side were like, no, wait, we want to make sense of it. You want to make sense of it? Rashi sagt, die erste Rashi der Wach. Eibishter sagt, schlach lech hu. Schick for dich. I'm not suggesting you should send people because it's going to mess it up. You're not going to be able to understand what's happening. It's probably going to mess it up even more, and that's actually what happened. Ended up staying 40 years longer, and these people were never able to go into Israel. Only their kids. because they're like, oh, you want to make sense of it, you go in with that mindset. Sorry, wait 40 more years. You have no capability of going into Israel. Not because you don't, it's a punishment. You don't get the idea. Your perspective of Eretz Yisrael is a whole new perspective.
There needs to be a whole new generation to be able to get renewed.
Exactly. There needs to be a whole new generation where they realize that it's not us. We're just letting go, shedding away, shedding more and more and more, just like an onion. I like to say it like an onion.
Don't peel the same way.
What is an onion? An onion is all about peeling away, peeling away, peeling away. And you think even deeper. An onion never, there's no center part. You're like, okay, I'm gonna peel, I'm gonna get to the center. There's no center. The actual onion is the peels. You keep peeling away. You realize that the journey is the destination. There is no end goal. There's no kettle at the end. You want to... Du wirst anpflanzen noch onions.
At the end of the tunnel's illusion.
Even if du wirst anpflanzen nahe onions, you gotta take the whole peel. The peels, the actual onion, the whole thing, that's what you plant. So you can kettle even inside. There's nothing. The actual destination is the journey. And you look at it even deeper. An onion, you want to cook an onion, and actually you can't eat an onion as it is. Only get to see the sweetness of an onion when you cook it. An onion by itself, you can't eat it. You can't eat it raw. You have to cook it. And it's the most important thing sometimes in cooking, right? Sometimes it's the most important thing in cooking. And it brings in a sweetness. It's such a bitter thing. It's spicy. And it brings in so much sweetness in the food that you cook it with. What's the point? That's actually what it is. Through cooking it, there has to be a certain amount of struggle in order to get to the sweetness of it. It's not the journey, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And also you have to cook it in order to get to the sweetness part of it. And that's when you realize the significant part of it. So this is Eretz Yisrael, if we can make sense of it in that way. This is Eretz Yisrael, realizing that we peel away, we keep peeling and we enjoy the process of peeling. That's how we get to the real sweetness of Eretz Yisrael. So if we can make sense of this perspective, we realize that everything that we're doing, especially in Eretz Yisrael, and even if a person doesn't live in Eretz Yisrael, has the capability, can bring Eretz Yisrael where it is. There's a very interesting perspective. The Parshat Shelach is masbir that the mitzvah of Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael is living in the moment. A person has the capability to live in the moment. Meint es, als hat Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael. Was hat das mit Eretz Yisrael? Eretz Yisrael gives you the opportunity to tune into the moment. What does that mean, living in the moment? When you realize that all I have is this very second. This is real surrender. If you think about it, a person can only live in the moment if they realize that all I have right now is whatever comes to me. The emotion, the thought, even the physical things that I'm dealing with in life, I only get to grow through it when I realize what I have right now. This is how you actually get to enjoy life. And you get to realize that this is who you truly are. And this is also what Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael is.
Why did I grinder? Because I actually know how to use a grinder with hash.